We're also getting more data this week from the United States as more and more retailers are reporting earnings and the way that consumers have been spending money in the most recent quarter. Consumer spending in the U.S. continues to fall here. It's expected to fall through the end of the year. I think that makes sense given that we're seeing more and more restrictions and people are holding on to their money rather than spending it at restaurants and the like. Travel certainly too. What do new curfews and restrictions mean for small businesses, which of course are the engine of the U.S. economy?
So you're starting to see similar restrictions across America, curfews in Ohio, closing of movie theaters in Michigan, among other things. So those businesses that require footfall, require people going into them, are going to be in trouble, be they cinemas, be they restaurants. Certainly it's not a national situation, but there are key states. And the longer that happens, the less likely consumers will be to spend. And interestingly, actually, as Bloomberg reported this week, the consumer household finances are actually in pretty good shape. A lot of people have built up savings during this period, and in some regards that might help later next year when vaccines become readily available. If people then start to spend what they've saved, then that could drive a recovery. But for now, people are holding back, and that generally gives an indication that the economy, also in the US, is in for a slower period as the transition from Trump to Biden occurs. And again, pressure on policymakers there to come up with some spending to reduce the fallout from that period of slow growth.
Yeah, I guess the big question is what could policymakers do, especially since President-elect Biden is likely going to have Republican control of the Senate. What is actually possible to get the U.S. economy back on track, given that scenario?
So I think both sides for the moment are discussing stimulus. They both see a need for stimulus. The question is how much. Whether the Senate is able to pull something together in these closing weeks of the year. Pressure from Donald Trump on some areas, bigger pressure from President Biden on stimulus going forward. He's talking about an aggressive stimulus plan when he gets in. But as you say, he'll run into what could be a Republican-controlled Congress and Senate, in which case some of his agenda, which obviously helped lead him to the White House, is going to be pushed back. So a lot of pressure from different parties, a lot of arguing over just what amount of stimulus is necessary and what form it should take.
Simon, I want to end talking about Africa. The COVID restrictions in South Africa are easing, but retail sales, we're learning, actually dropped more than projected last month. How's the economic recovery there being hindered?
So it's been hindered in a big way from various things. Obviously, the virus across the region, you've seen a flare up in some parts of the country again. And even with the easing of the restrictions, a lot of businesses went under, a lot of wages were cut. Most importantly, perhaps the biggest data point is you're seeing unemployment at a 17-year high. And all of that is going to slow an economy. Even hopes that the economy would pick up faster are being challenged. You also have a government trying to regain control of its budget. So all these factors kind of combine to suggest that South Africa also is going to face a slow recovery from this period.
Simon Kennedy, Bloomberg's executive economics editor, joining us from London. Thanks so much for your time this morning.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.